IFX EXPO Asia 2024 here in Bangkok, Thailand. My name is Zoe and it is my pleasure to be your host here today in the Idea Hub, the playground of innovation. To kick off the first day, I am happy to announce the first panel, Prop Trading Technology, the Push to the Peak. As prop trading is gaining its popularity in the region, technological advancement is extremely important. From trading platforms and data storage to payment systems, these are the crucial aspects of all prop firms need to be focused on. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the moderator, Tatiana Pilipenko, Regional Head of Business Development from Brokeree Solutions, who will introduce her panel. Please ensure that all provided headsets return to collection points here at the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, may we have a big round of applause.
Hello, everybody. Ooh, this is so unusual. I hope it's not too loud. I'm Tatiana Pilipenko, the Regional Head of Business Development of APAC, UK, and Americas at Brokeree Solutions. And today I'm extremely excited to opening up the Idea Hub session spot. And I have spectacular speakers with me today, which is Petros Kalaitzis, the Chief Strategic Officer at the FunderPro. Then the Judith Loh, the Head of Strategic Sales at Worldpay, and Marcus Fetherston, the General Manager at Blueberry Funded. So, as we all know, for the last year and a half, 2 years, the prop trading was a big trend, a big topic, and everybody is knowing already about all the observations, about everything what is happening around it. But today I would like to dig a little bit deeper into technological aspect of it, and our speakers will help us to go over it. So in my first question today, actually, I think it will be quite interesting to start with, will be about risks. And can you please tell us, let's start with you, Petros, what risks can a prop firm face and how it can be actually handled?
Good morning, everyone. Very nice to see you again, guys. Thank you for the time. So, risk has been always a very hot topic. To be honest, in my personal and professional opinion, the biggest risk that a prop firm is going to face is actually how exactly are they going to handle their book model. So, as you probably know, there are companies who are using the big book so-called logic. So basically when the funded trader goes to the funded stage, he's still trading on a simulated environment. And of course, if he will actually have profits, they need to pay the trader from their own pocket. On the other side, there are companies who are actually funding the accounts with real money. So it's always the first question, like, should we give our own money to someone or should we actually hold back a little bit and wait to see if he's doing well, but then take a little bit extra risk and when we have to pay them. And sadly, there were companies that they got burned out because of the not so good risk management. So handling the book, it's actually, in my opinion, one of the biggest risks. I would like to call also the regulatory and compliance as a risk. I know it's a hot topic, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, in some cases, it can be a risk, and I'm sure we'll get into that, but actually, I think it should be categorized as one of the risks. And obviously, the standard things about market fluctuation and geolocation targeting, it's also a thing. But if I have to call top three, that would be it.
Would be it. Judith, Marcus, do you guys have anything to add? I think Petros covered it pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thanks to Pedro for covering the funding risk of things. But essentially, prop trading has been really on the rise, within this 4 years, right? On a year-on-year basis, we're actually seeing like a 4.2 increase year-on-year for prop trading firms. To be exact, there's a lot of risks. I think a lot of prop trading firms don't realize it, but there's market volatility risk. There is, as what Pedro said, legal and regulatory risks. There's also payment-related risks, which Worldpay is very familiar at, being a global acquirer. We do see a lot of fraudulent cases coming in from prop trading, and especially when they do not have the relevant fraud tools, to govern and to protect their systems. If you apply a very strict fraud tool, it may decline all your transactions. But if you turn the controls a bit too low, then you practically get a lot of acceptance, but that only means that the fraud rate increases. So you have to be very careful on that. Aside from it, as Pedro touched on, regulatory and legal risks, we do see a lot of prop trading firms now being subjected to maybe requirement of licensing. We may see in the future. So a lot of people are already discussing, a lot of jurisdictions are discussing on that already. And because it involves with money, anything that involves with money, the regulatories wants to come in. So it's always good to have an in-house lawyer or an external counsel to make sure you are legally sound and updated with the local regulatory systems and frameworks, right? In case you hit a situation whereby, you have a suspension of a merchant account, or you have legal fines, or even, reputation issues in the end.
Thank you, Judith. Marco, is there
I don't know if
anything
there's
to
much
add?
more to add. Like Petros and Judith really covered off a lot of it. I think at the end of the day, props face risks from all sides. But I think that's no different to really what brokers and a lot of other very established businesses go through as well. I just think now it's the time we're seeing the impacts or a lot of those risks be realised. I think a lot of this industry, it's been very organically grown, from the ground up over the last few years. By some really great innovative people that I think took the bull by the horns and dived into the prop space to build this product. Naturally, it's grown a lot faster than I think anyone had ever predicted, and a lot of those risks are now catching up from all angles, from all sides. So I think in that sense, what we're seeing with prop firms now is these are risks that we always knew would come. I think it's just a question of how everyone's going to face them and sort of the vehicles and the methods everyone's going to use to take it into a much more sustainable, long-term, niche or industry of Forex. So yeah, I think Judith and Petros always already covered off the major points, but that's just my 2 cents I'd add into it.
Thank you. No, it's important as well. Now, Judith, I would like to come back to the payment part of the risk management as well. So we all know that from the news, that some firms may not have paid out to their traders, and then could that be the case that it's just the miscommunication or just the prop firm that pretty much goes down? Or can it be the problem of the payment gateway with the payout rejection? What do you think?
Okay, maybe I'll target this question on two sides. The payment gateway actually does not go down because every payment gateway need to have their proper SLAs. They need to have their latency uptime. So very often you will see like a global acquirer or PSP like us, we do have SLAs being stipulated in the agreement to do a coverage on uptime, payment transactions, and we actually cover that. Let's say 99% of transactions goes through and 1% of the transactions doesn't. We actually cover your 1%. So that's what Worldpay does, right? But here's the thing. So for prop trader firms itself, because of the risk involved, right, a lot of acquirers, such as Worldpay, we are very wary of onboarding. So there's a traditional method of onboarding prop traders, and there's a new modern way of onboarding prop traders. Traditional methods in the sense where all the payouts are being handled by the prop trading firms itself, and they are onboarded wise for all the funding. It goes through their traders and they pay out directly. That's the traditional way of prop traders, right? And this constitutes anything that touches onto payouts can constitute under a AML risk. So that's where the acquirers are very, very wary, I would say, on approving it. But now, nowadays, prop trading firms are getting smarter as well. So they divide it into two prongs. First, they go after the evaluation stage, whereby they will offer evaluation stage challenges and get an administrative fee for that. And that in itself is being accepted by the acquirers widely. That's fine. But when it comes to the payout, where you need to pay out to the traders, that's where the problem comes in, right? And that's not the problem of the gateway. The gateway can perfectly support. You can go after any PSP that can support payouts in different markets or jurisdiction. But that's not the problem. The problem is actually not technological, but more of regulations, right? Whether the card schemes allow you to pay out to that certain regulations. So that's the wider problem that we see in the acquiring space, in the payment space right now.
Yeah, I think just adding to that, because this is a very pertinent point in the industry right now around, because a lot of prop firms use third-party tools and sort of wallets and things to make payouts, to do things in bulk to make it a lot easier for them. And like I was saying before, I think we're at a time now where this part of the industry is starting to mature very rapidly, and I think the narrative in a lot of traders' minds and a lot of sort of downstream people's minds is sort of, stuck in where the industry's been for a long time. So I think some of these third-party, wallets, applications that firms are doing payouts through, sort of talking to Judith's point, I think a lot of these people are starting to up their game when it comes to AML and KYC. So we see a lot of traders who maybe they've gotten payouts absolutely without issue in the past. Now all of a sudden, a lot of these providers are, taking a bit more notice of the prop industry, tightening up the screws when it comes to KYC and AML, which is just a net positive for the industry long term. And I think downstream that's being misinterpreted as almost like the payouts being blocked due to, some other issue or something. So to speak particularly to that, just because I know that is something that, we're seeing online, people reporting a lot of. But yeah, it's a tough one, I think, to rebuild the narrative in this space, where I think it's been very hard and fast, which is part of the appeal of the product. I think that's why it's resonated with a lot of traders. But at the same time, I think as it matures, like the narrative, in the public sphere of props also needs to grow at the same time, so people understand, maybe this, provider blocked your KYC because they're actually bringing KYC to a higher standard, because that's going to keep this industry sustainable for longer, not because they have a personal issue with you or something like that. So, I think that's a really important thing to talk about when it comes to this sort of some payout issues that I think we've seen noted online.
Petros, can you compare it to the past, for example? I mean, having had experience, in different aspects also of it, perhaps you can...
Yeah, so basically, I can safely say that things have become much more stricter, right? Nowadays, especially from the provider side. I mean, in the past, as far as I recall, it was a little bit easier to be onboarded in a PSP that probably they will categorize you as a high-risk client, and that's it. Nowadays, we see from our experience that the PSPs or the providers are coming and they are asking really deep questions in terms of understanding the whole flow, and they don't actually stop also into the challenge phase. They actually want to know the whole client journey. They ask you to send a graph representation. They put you on recorded calls with the chief risk officer or whatever. So they are being more and more cautious about who they onboard, because to an extent they feel liability towards the end client. So as Judith said, unfortunately, some people and some companies in the past have used the technology downtimes as an excuse in order not to pay clients. And this is very clear that it's not a technological issue. It's just a matter of trust. Yes, if we can call it.
Thank you. Sorry, did I interrupt you? No? Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure we can talk about regulatory, and all of those aspects in terms of compliance for a very long time. But we unfortunately do not have so much time. And I would like to switch a little bit. You did mention some risks, but what I also can see potentially as a risk, another trend that goes along with prop trading, is machine learning and the development of the AI. Would you say that the development of the AI can be harming prop space? As you know, I mean, just generally, like thinking about artificial intelligence, can it harm prop space, prop trading firm, potentially? What would you say? Marcus, would you like to start?
From what angle that we're talking about it when it comes to AI, I think, and quite a buzzword right now, so I feel like it can be fit into any conversation in tech with multiple angles. But I think from the downstream perspective, look, in terms of, maybe malicious trading, algorithms, things like that people might use, against a prop firm, not legitimate strategies or things like that, that could be a potential harm. And as AI gets better, usually the ways people might use, algorithmic trading, EA trading to sort of take advantage of firms is going to, grow as well. But I think it's always a back and forth kind of thing, because whilst the technology to, build those kind of algorithms improves, the technology to detect it on the other side also improves. And I feel like there's always an ongoing game of, and this happens in the brokerage space too, it's not unique to the prop space, of people building more advanced ways to come in, take advantage of price feeds, take advantage of the broker, and brokers build more advanced technology to detect that and prohibit it, or make sure people aren't doing that. So on that side, I don't think it's a major threat, because I think it's just accelerated a trend brokers and everyone has seen for the last 10 years as AI trading, or algorithmic trading I should say, has kept advancing. I would say, if anything, so that's kind of neutral in that sense when it comes to the actual trading side. But upstream, I know sort of when it comes to risk management and things, and on the prop firm side, we see people building really cool tools all the time. In that space to detect risk and things like that. But like any new trend, there's a lot of smokes and mirrors in that as well. Like I think, a lot of technology companies, risk management companies are just slapping AI on something they might already have, and it doesn't really advance that much in the world of risk detection or risk prevention. But that being said, there are some really great actors and great people out there building tools on the prop side for risk management using AI, machine learning and things like that. So I think it can only really be a net positive at the end of the day, but I guess we'll just see how it plays out.
So you would say that it's more positive rather than negative impact for prop space?
Yeah, I would say it's more positive overall. Like I said, AI in this, like you're going to see people do it for, smoke and mirrors, like technology selling, it doesn't really improve a lot, and you're going to see a lot of traders using AI to probably build more complicated ways, more efficient ways to pull off high-risk trading strategies and things like that, latency arbitrage, things that brokers and firms generally don't like to see, as we don't consider it like legitimate forms of trading on feeds. But that being said, I think everything else involved with it is going to be such a net positive. It outweighs all of those things like detection. And really, we're just talking about the actual like day-to-day business side when it comes to things like AML, KYC, really improving the client process, marketing funnels, things like that. I believe that all the work in AI going to that will be a net positive over the small negatives that we might see come out of it.
Okay, and what about expert advisors? Would you see it as having a positive or negative way? Because potentially also it can be, constantly winning challenges and then harming, therefore, prop firm. So Petros, Judith, would you be able to comment on that? Sorry.
I mean, if you ask me personally, for EA and for AI, I'm all for it, to be honest. I mean, come to think of it, anything that games the system and makes you smarter, why not? ChatGPT has been around for, I think, very recent years, but everybody is using it right now. I mean, come to think of it, even our fraud prevention tool under the payment space, we are also using AI-driven tools, even for our gateways. We are also using that. That is to predict transactional risks. That is also to predict the patterns that fraudsters have, in the system. So I think it's really good. For EA, particularly in the prop trading firm, I think, Marcus have covered a bit of it. They can actually, in the bad side of things, they can actually, target onto latency arbitration, whereby they catch the prices that are different from the market itself, right? And they can manipulate the past market conditions in order to pass the challenges during the evaluation stage. So if you think about it, they will have a winning formula, in fact, to pass the evaluation stage for majority of the traders. So you're not exactly trading real life, testing your skills, but you're relying on an AI-driven algorithm to help you succeed in that sense, right?
Yeah, but look, as Marcus said, at the end of the day, I also think that it is a positive thing. Yes, we see a trend from much more people trying to, trick the system, and they're using the AI in order, or the expert advisors to pass the challenges. But at the end of the day, by identifying a weak point in your system, you can improve as a company, right? So basically, if you recall in the very beginning, most of the companies didn't allow traders to use expert advisors to pass the challenge. But right now we see a trend that, especially the big ones, are actually allowing the use of a bot, right? So there will always be cases for arbitraging and trying to trick the system. But at the same time, I think that in all aspects, the AI has actually increased the customer satisfaction. It is making better the whole customer experience and journey. And to an extent is actually helping the risk management, because right now there are machine learning models that can predict the next move of your traders, right? So in a risk management perspective from the company side, it can really, really help you take a most accurate decision. So overall, yes, there will be cases that they are, trying to trick the system, but I definitely believe that Marcus is right. The general thing is in plus right now.
Yeah, and I was just going to add, I think, look, if anything, it's probably better for EAs, like ultimately, like AI and things like that, because look, as much as the things that make EAs an issue, really a lot of the time for firms are people just buying random EAs online and just using them. I mean, the whole point of a prop firm is to test individual skill. There's no difference between just copying someone else's trade or than buying an EA and using the same EA as someone else. It doesn't test your actual skills personally. The great thing about AI now, ChatGPT and a lot of these things, it is really lowered the bar or the barrier to entry to build EAs. I mean, the great thing about that programming language or whatever you want to call it is very simple. But now, even with ChatGPT, just typing something in and getting your EA quickly, if anything, I think allows for a lot greater creativity in building algorithms because it's so much easier now. And with that, I would like to think, again, this is just me presuming maybe, but people therefore are going to be more likely to create their own EA than just buying them online and testing out new things because it's so much easier. So I'd like to think this leads to there being more EAs than ever that are a bit more unique and based on an individual's ideas or skills or really specific strategies rather than just going out, buying one from someone online and running it on a prop firm, which is ultimately pointless for the firm because it's not really going under the ethos of what the firms are after, which is individual talent. So with that, I think EA building AI is definitely a net positive for it.
So let's see how it's going to develop in the
See how it
future,
goes,
because so far, it's going all in the
but-
positive way, but then you never know how it's going to turn. Since we don't have much time left, I think it would be enough as for the risk management, and the risks that can be faced, and I think we can come back to that after the session if you have any questions. And let's touch upon the topic about challenges. This is the main technology for the prop trading firm. So, and I would like to ask you, as per your observations, what do you notice now? I mean, the prop firms, are they using more of a standardized approach, with this demo partnership stages and then different levels at a different price? Or the firms are looking to explore more of the unique approach to their customers nowadays? Because it's been already for a while, it started all with the same, but now what do you see is, more of a trending situation? Same because it's, proven, it works, it's good, or it's more of some sort of unique things that firms are looking to implement nowadays? Marcus, would you like to?
Yeah, I can dive straight in. Look, one of the best things I like about the prop industry is the gamification element of it. And gamification can be used as a bit of a dirty word sometimes, but I think I really like that traders, they're in the dashboard, they can see all the parameters that they need to reach. And I genuinely believe there is a very educational component to that makes people better traders over the long term. The negative side of that, though, is I think that the gamification from the business owner perspective in the prop firm world went too far and changed the narrative a lot. And this is something I always come back to is, changing the narrative for sustainability in the industry. So a lot of these challenges, it wasn't necessarily about making a risk-adjusted, product or like something we'd see in the brokerage space. It became about playing e-commerce, race to the bottom, who can have like the best, the highest leverage for the lowest cost, buy one get one free, 50% off deals and that. And yeah, it became an e-commerce game, and that changed the narrative, and the expectations from the trader side is now completely different. But again, it was still very much abiding by the same rules. Everyone was just getting looser and making it, easier and easier for the traders, which is not a sustainable business. And I think now, in the last few months, after we've seen a lot of ups and downs and fast changes in the prop space in the last 6 months, we're seeing people doing more unique challenges, but not in the name of race to the bottom, just getting quick sales and making some quick money, but more so from how do we make this sustainable and bring it back to what prop firms are actually about, which is finding good traders. And so again, we're seeing people, they're coming out with maybe things that are a bit stricter than the vanilla style prop firm model, but a lot of traders are gravitating to that because they're like, well, yeah, maybe this other firm, it's easy to pass and it's cheap, and I might even have one safe payout with them, but I'm not going to have safe simulated capital with them for 6, 12 plus months. So I think in a way it's like we're seeing a lot of firms now offer more unique challenges in that sense, but unique from a perspective of risk management, not unique from just race to the bottom, which we've seen proliferate over the last 12 months, quite a lot in the space. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Well, and I think we're going to see it go in that direction more, because I think sustainability is the big thing on a lot of traders' minds right now.
Petros, would you agree with that point?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the truth lies in the middle. So we actually have to be hybrid, right? So from one side, you would need to have something unique over your competitors so that the client can choose you. But at the same time, when something is working, you should not touch it. So there is a valid reason that the big players in the industry have more or less a similar approach. And this all leads to the risk management. I think he's actually very right. It can be more tempting for somebody to join a company that says, I'll give you X% off, 90% discount, free this, free that. But at the end of the day, in a couple of months, if you continue like that, it's just pure math. You will be blown, right? So, yes, I totally agree that you need to do something different in order to attract and tempt new clients come in. But at the same time, you need to have in the back of your mind that, this model has been there for years. I think it's more than 7 years, to be honest. And there are bigger companies out there that they tried things for you, and there is a valid reason that everybody is sticking to to this path. So it should be a hybrid approach. But when something is too easy, maybe there is a catch.
It's always like that. It's never free, Judith, anything to add to?
I think, Petros and Marcus have covered actually all of it, under the challenges. But I just would want to add on a payments side of things, coming from a payments company. As per what Petros touched on, if the challenge is too easy, if the win is, seemingly too large, authorities will start to look at it and say, hey, is there a problem here? Why are you giving so much profit share back? So, that's what are the challenges that we see right now in the market, right? It's too glaring. And at the same time, a lot of jurisdictions right now are trying to clamp down on it. For example, Australia has increased discussions right now on, whether prop trading firms needs to be registered or even licensed in Australia, right? In Hong Kong itself, high frequency trading, such as algorithm trading, they're thinking of also implementing something for it if a prop firm actually does that. So there's a lot of challenges with regards to really implementing a proper solution out there for, for traders to enter in the challenge. But I think as the market grows, we see more governance around that, and more governance will lead to actually longevity to a certain extent. So we have to trend and keep ourselves updated in terms of the regulation, in terms of, what is appropriate for, the challenges for the market, and move along with it.
I would say that was pretty much a great wrap-up as well of this session. We do have a couple more minutes. What would be the main key takeaways in terms of technology for a prop firm? What would you recommend and what would you say to stay away from Just a little summary, what we've discussed.
Well, in a nutshell, I would say that, again, when something is too easy or too good, probably should stay away from it. Otherwise, everybody would have done it, right? I mean, if somebody can promise you that it has a technology that it can guarantee profits or this and that, probably there is a catch. I am pretty sure that everybody in the panel is aligned that regulation is coming, so you should be already prepared for that. So you should choose a partner that has a stable growth and has some reputation in the market. And good luck.
Funny thing, I was doing a little survey on my LinkedIn, and some people did say that nothing is coming. But I mean, we'll wait
Wishful
and see.
thinking maybe from certain people in the industry.
I don't think
Very
that's going to
optimistic
happen.
point.
Yeah, it's good to stay optimistic though. Marcus, anything to add? We have the last 20 seconds.
Yeah, just as Petros said, I think, look, if things look too good to be true, it's often there's a reason for that. But yeah, look, I would say that, there's a narrative shift coming in this space. I think, around sustainability, things like that. I think, a lot of people, especially, on the B2B side of this, have a responsibility to reinforce that. And, it's ultimately going to benefit everyone involved in the ecosystem, tech providers, prop firms, traders. The shift to sustainability is looking quite probable at this point based on what's out there. So it's a good shift to see, but I think, we'll have a responsibility to reinforce that from like the upstream side of this industry, which I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, let's see if anybody has any questions. Please talk to us. We're going to be right there. I'm sure speakers will be happy to discuss whatever is happening in the prop space. And thank you so much for attending this session, and see you around.